Today we will cover adding video and sound playback commands or channel point rewards. Either picking files with a search option, how to use this framework to create a custom command to play a specific video easily using the same source, or just using the same command to pick a random file from a specified folder to play. Hello and welcome to Streamer Bot Bytes, where I cover how to set up and to make the most of the awesome Streamer bot. There is one video per topic to make it easy as possible to follow and find. When relevant, sample import code will be provided to make it even easier for you to get started and to add functionality to your stream. So let's get started with the topic for this video. To set up OBS, first obviously make sure that OBS is connected to the Streamer bot. There'll be a link in the video description if you haven't done that yet. I'll suggest you go through that steps first. What you can do though is, once you have that done, is you're going to add in a media source. Now this is going to be typically in the scene that you're going to be nested. So if you're using a fast track, the VR fast track alerts is perfect for you. Then give it a name. I'm going to give it a name video player here. That's what's configured in the code by default. So you might find it easier to implement calling it video player, but you can call it something else different if you already are using that name. That's going to bring up the properties in a moment. Here we go. Now you might want to change some settings there just for the video settings in general, but actually you don't need to do anything here. What I would do is I would specify transform and fit to screen, and then at this point select the sort of dimensions where you want it to appear on the screen. You probably don't want it full screen, you may want it just in a particular area where it fits around your cameras and things like that, or behind your cameras if you're using the scenes in that way. Once you've got that to a position where you want it to be, hit the lock icon there. You can then hide it and we are pretty much ready to go. The only thing you may need to do is to change the audio properties. So if you don't have it already showing the audio mixer in the video player and the advanced audio properties there. For example, for myself, I use monitor only mute output as the way to get it so the stream and myself both hear the sound. And if we set that, for example, we can then put the volume to however we want it to appear on stream. So you control the volume for the videos only this way. The Streamer bot, firstly make sure you've got a connection to OBS. This can be on version 5 or version 4.9.1 on the WebSockets. Doesn't matter, as long as that is connected automatically, you're good to start. Then we need to import the actions. So go to the video description below and click on the link in there. It's a bit larger this time so it doesn't fit in the description. Copy all the text or download the file. Go to StreamerBot and click on the import at the top left hand side. Either drag the file into import string or paste the contents of the file that's there. We'll see here we have 3 actions imported: the play video, the play sound, and an example video playback option as well, which is we'll go through in a bit later. We'll see there's a new section with media playback with search. Firstly, we'll configure the play sound. You can make multiple copies of this, so if you want to be playing back with search from different folders, you can do that. That's not a problem. All you need to do is need to update the argument here to be the path of where your sounds are. You can then set the volume. I find 40% volume is a good default volume for me. So it's 0.4 for 40%, so 0.2 for 20%, 0.7 for 70%. You get the idea. So we now have the sound part set up. Again, the play video. We need to do a little bit more here, but the folder we need to specify where the contents of the files we want to be searching. So in this case, we have streams of videos on the C drive, but if you want to have different actions to do different folders, we can do that. You'll need to have the scene and source, which will match the steps we did in setting up OBS. It is used in multiple areas within this code, so this is the best way to do it, where you only need to update it once and it updates it throughout the whole action. So with these, we can either create a channel point reward. So under platforms, Twitch channel point rewards, we can add in there, specify the action to what we want. Now, if you're using the search commands for sound or video, you'll want to make sure you have the user input required option there. Obviously, you're typing it into chat, you can type in the command space and then what you want to search for. So that's enabled by default, but in channel points, they're not enabled there. Again, for this stream, what I typically do, I will do it through a command only, so it's something for everyone to do there. But you can see it's really quite easy to do it through channel point rewards with the streamer bot. So in commands, I'm going to create a command for video. We're going to then use a filter to find the play video, and I'm going to do that to moderator. We can do cooldowns, things like that. It's worthwhile noting the video playback does have a blocking queue, which will then allow only one video to be played back at a time. That's there by default. It's got a video command. Just going to put that into a different group. Let me do playback for now. I'm going to add in one for sound. Again, moderators, the action to play sound. Now, in the actions, we've got an example video playback. Now this is where if we want to have a command to always play a specific video and to reuse the code that we have. All we need to do here is have it set an argument raw input to be the input you'd put in to find it. So if it's the file name, that's going to be, say, for our fireworks, for a fireworks video that I've got in my so for fireworks, in the folder I've got a video called fireworks, so that's how I'm identifying that. It doesn't need to use the full file name, just a match. Then we select an action, so that's using sub-action, actions, and then run action to play video. It's as simple as that. So this means you can have actions which are just to call specific videos that are in a folder. So you can use this redeem in quite a few different ways. So let's add a command for the firework video. So add in a group for media playback, firework video. Again, you'll do it with moderators just to keep it simple. And so to test. So just using the video on its own triggers a video. If you want a specific video, we can do part of the file name. If you want to do a sound, again, we can do the same. We can see the volume's a little bit quieter, so we can adjust the volume. Finally, you have the firework video, which will always trigger the firework video. Now for the optional parts, well, I'll go through explaining what part of the actions do. Play sound, relatively simple, thankfully. We set an argument for the folder, and we set an argument for the sound level that is. And we set an argument for the sound level. We then run code. This code is looking for star.mp3, so it's worthwhile noting only files with MP3 extension will work for the sounds. You need to convert them if they're not. We create a random. Now this random is going to be used if we don't match a file name. So it'll always try and find a random file to play. It's using random if it's true as an option. So we know by default it's going to be true. If we match a file name, that'll go to false. We get a directory, which is pulled from the stream sound. So that's actually the variable we set in the action. If we have raw inputs, so this means if we have anything put into the command or the channel point reward, then we can say we want to be looking for something that's not random. We're going to try and find something with whatever we typed in with MP3 on the end, looking for a specific file name match. Otherwise, if you don't match anything in there, or if you don't have that set, sorry, it will do a search for start.mp3. What we'll do then is, if the files are get files, the files here we get is going to be a list of files from the folder that we specify. So in my directory is there the search string we specified above, either the file name.mp3 or mp3. Now, if the files doesn't return anything and it's not a random option, so we've told it to search for something, then we try star, then the file name that's specified in the raw input, star.mp3. So it's trying to do a partial match of the file name. Again, trying to get the files there. Again, if it's still 0, then we'll do a general search of star.mp3. And what we do is get the files back result. So at this point, we should definitely have a file at this point. We can then tell it to get the next random, random not next, so we're getting a random section of the files, and something called my file variable, which is defined here, is the file name there. What we then do is we get the volume. We need to convert that volume from the text it's put in the settings, so we use float.parse for that, and we tell it to pull that text in there. This is so if you're in a different region and maybe you'll use, instead of 0.7, 0.7, that will then work. So if this doesn't work, that's what you may need to do. We then do a play sound my file on the volume. So the file that's identified here and the volume which has been loaded in from there. After that sound is completed, then we'll return from there. And that completes that action. For the play video, there's a lot of similarities, but a few differences. The pick video to play is much the same, but MP4. Again, we don't support MKV. You could make a copy of this, change MP4 to MKV to do different file types, for example. That could work. Make sure that they will play in OBS. But the code here is very similar, where we pick the file name. We don't play it from here, we just pick the file name from this code. And again, rather than playing back, we set an argument my file of the file name that we've picked. And that's all that happens in here. There's a example message we can have here. You can disable this. Oh, sorry, you can enable it. It's disabled by default. That's why it's red color. We then set the media source. So the scene and source we've set here along with the file name in arguments. We set the file there of the scene, the source, and my file, which we put in the execute code. We then set that source to be visible, which enables it and starts a playback. Once that playback has started, what we can do here is we'll connect using WebSockets. Firstly, we tell it to get the version of WebSockets and search to see, okay, is it WebSocket version 5? And actually this is the wrong way round. These text descriptions are the wrong way around. I'll change that in the import. So this is actually the WebSocket 5. Now the WebSocket 5 version here will use input name rather than source name, and get media input status rather than get media duration. So we're sending a raw command to OBS saying, for our source input, which we pull out from here, what's the media input status? We get that data back. Now in that get data here, the data is get data from JSON string, which is the output from the send raw commands we have here, or here, depending on the WebSocket version. The media duration is going to be how much time left to play back on that video in milliseconds. We can then do a cph.wait, which is the number of waiting in milliseconds. So we know that the video is finished playback at that point, and then we can return true. Example video playback is just defining the input and calling the video player. You can do something very similar to playback the sound as well. Please like and subscribe to be notified of more videos like this. If there's a topic you'd like covered, please do let me know in the comments or on Discord. Check out my Twitch stream to see the bot in action and for other examples. The links to my Twitch, social media and to StreamerBot can be found at vrflad.com. Additional links to others that provide StreamerBot content can be also found in the description. Finally, thank you Nate for making a great bot, and please consider supporting his Patreon, which is linked from streamer.bot.